Okay, I think we'll go ahead and start with reciting the Namo Tassa and the three refuges for those who like to join that. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Buddhang Saranang Gacchami. Dhammang Saranang Gacchami. Sanghang Saranang Gacchami. Dutiyampi Buddhang Saranang Gacchami. Dutiyampi Dhammang Saranang Gacchami. Dutiyampi Sanghang Saranang Gacchami. Tatiyampi Buddhang Saranang Gacchami. Tatiyampi Dhammang Saranang Gacchami. Tatiyampi Sanghang Saranang Gacchami. So, welcome friends to this Wednesday evening Dhamma discussion, and this evening we're continuing with our questions and answers sort of sessions based on the previous suttas that I've been going over in the last almost 2 years. So I hope you all got the last email with the link to the Maha-cattarisaka Sutta, or the Sutta on the Great 40. Now, the meaning of the Great 40 is a little bit complicated, but perhaps by the time we go through our discussions, it might be a little bit more clear, or may try to define that more clearly. It is explained in the sutra itself, but it's a little bit kind of ambiguous, or for somebody who's not familiar with the teachings, it might be hard to understand it. So I know there might be some of you who didn't have a chance to re-listen to the sutta or read it, but I'm not going to go over it in detail again, but through some of these questions, the content of it should become more clear. But there was a question sent in to me that is not exactly about this sutta, but I was, have been welcoming other questions also. So I'm going to answer that question first before going into these other questions that are specifically about this particular sutta. Now, this person had a question about meditation on the 4 elements. So I think you're all familiar with the 4 elements as being part of the mindfulness of the body contemplation. That means contemplating this body as being comprised of the 4 elemental qualities of what are called the earth, fire, water, and air. But basically, these are just the sort of the sensory vibrations that are produced within the body. When we feel the body, we feel these sensations. Some of the sensations are feeling kind of hard like they're solid and hard, like our skin and bones. And there's other sensations that are of a fluid or liquid nature, like tears, saliva in the mouth, the urine, and the liquid elements. Or there's the heat. Maybe you feel heat or even cold in the body as part of the temperature element. And then the air element, the breathing or the ability to move even, that there's air and spaces, between the cells of the body. So the contemplation of the four elements is an important part of the contemplation of the body, to try to feel this body as just being a mass of different vibrations that have different qualities, but we identify the body parts from these vibrations. Anyway, so this question, when I meditate on the in and out breathing, so that means doing the anapanasati, or concentrating on the breathing, you can feel the breath as part of the wind element. So, when you're observing the breathing, you understand that, there's air that's going in and out of the body. So you're breathing air in through the nose, and it goes into the lungs and, oxygenates the blood. And then you are breathing out. So that's called, that's one aspect of the air element. The most obvious sort of manifestation of the air element is the feeling of the air going in and out of the body. But along with the air element, you're also feeling the like the expanding and contracting of the abdomen and chest. So that even the earth element is involved in those sensations. But anyway, so when we feel other vibrations in part of the body, what will be the vibration in the four elements? Well, if you feel hardness, let's say you feel the buttocks pressing the seat. So there's a sensation of hardness or solidness there. So that is the earth element. So that's the vibration, the other vibration, or the earth vibration. Like even the clothing touching your skin is the earth element, the solid element of the clothing rubbing against the solid element of your skin is producing this tactile sensation that feels like it's something solid. So, or even like your teeth pressing together, or the glasses touching the side of your face. All of these would be predominantly the earth vibration or the earth element. Although I prefer to call them just the vibration, because that's actually what we feel, or just vibrations. If you press that's a vibration going through the nervous system, through the delicate nervous system to the brain, and where it's registered as my hand pressing the other hand, or anything, clothing touching the skin. Of course, those are thoughts, those are perceptions. Okay, so, and if you feel saliva in the mouth, that's the water vibration. Or if you feel a tear coming down, the water vibration. Or any other fluid. If you get blood, you cut yourself and the blood is coming out, that's also the liquid element. So the earth vibration is probably the most predominant one, because, we're always wearing clothing and things are happening, we get all the pains that you're feeling. A lot of those are because of pressure and in the body. So probably most of the vibrations that we feel of the four elements are the earth element. But at other times you feel, as I already mentioned, like the saliva, tears, even urine coming out of is the water element. So that's how you meditate. Whenever you feel one of these sensations on the body, instead of calling it this or that, as a body part, you say, this is the earth vibration, this is the water vibration, this is the heat vibration. If you have a fever, for example, it's the heat vibration or the heat element. Or even if you're feeling cold, that's also a fluctuation in the heat element. And so the different ranges of body temperature. And even when you move, it's because of the spaces between the cells of the body that act as like a hydraulics and allow you to actually move. If there weren't spaces between the cells of the body would be a solidified, solid thing that you couldn't move. So it's the air element that actually, when you decide to move, the mind stimulates that air element like hydraulics, and you're able to stretch out your arm or bring your arm back or turn your head. So, it's a little bit difficult to understand that, but that's part of the contemplation of the four elements. The next part of the question is the mind and thoughts one of the four elements also? Our thoughts about the four elements are perceptions and thoughts. They're triggered off. Most of our thoughts about the body are triggered off by these vibrations, but the thoughts themselves are mental vibrations. They're not one of the four material elements. So the four elements belong to the material realm. That means something coming through the skin of the body or within the body, and then even sounds coming through the ears, visible vibrations. Those are also part of the elements, but primarily in the body contemplation, it's the four elements of the body. When we feel our body as the four elements and it will disintegrate and fall apart at death, is that part of the meditation on impermanence? Yes, you could say it can be a part of the body contemplation, the contemplation about the decay and the death. So all these four elements are in a constant state of flux, and all the four elements are constantly being born and decaying and dying. Like all the cells of our body, new cells are being born every minute, you could say, and cells are dying and new cells are being born to replace them. So the process of decay and death is continually happening in the body. Even a child, a newborn baby or a young child, cells only have a certain span of life, some only a few hours, some a few days or longer, depending on what part of the body it is, but they decay and die, but they're replaced by others. And so, that's why growth can occur. So, the contemplation of the four elements is just, it's a part, yes, it's a contemplation on impermanence. These vibrations, and basically, they're cells. Everything in the body is a cell. And they have the water element in it, the heat element, the air element, and the fire element within each cell of the body, in fact. But different parts of the body manifest in different, with different concentrations of these elements. And so, and when you die, all these four elements will return to dust, basically, if you leave it to decay out in the open, or if you incinerate it in a crematory, then, they all get dissolved into nothing very quickly. They all, dust goes back to the dust, and water goes back to the water, air goes back to the air, and so on. Okay, so that is the questions that we had about the four elements. I mean, everything in existence belongs to the four elements, the internal four elements and the external four elements. So even in the meditation on the four elements, just as all these elements in the body will change, decay, and die, all the elements in the world, trees and plants, they will grow up and die. Even a solid tree, the earth element, it has water element in it too, and so on. Even the planets, right? The planets were born and they decay and they change, and they will die off also on a much larger scale. But so the contemplation of the four elements is a contemplation of impermanence. Okay, now coming back to this particular sutta, the Maha-cattarisaka Sutta. So the Maha-cattari means the great 40. And as I mentioned, we'll try to define that by the time we get to the end of the sutta. But the sutta, begins with the Buddha, giving a talk to the monks about actually begins with the noble concentration. The Buddha says, I'll teach you the noble concentration with its requisites and equipment and requisites. And basically it's the Noble Eightfold Path. So noble concentration is the 8th step of the Noble Eightfold Path, which we normally call right concentration, or some people just call it concentration. But the Buddha qualifies it by calling it the noble concentration. That's why it's called Samma Samadhi, as opposed to ordinary concentration. And so this first question about this is about, is there a change in lineage between mundane and supramundane right view? So anyway, this right view is, of course, the first step of the Noble Eightfold Path. And when the Buddha calls it the Noble Eightfold Path, he's referring to, there's two aspects of the Eightfold Path. There's what's called the Mundane Eightfold Path and the Supramundane Eightfold Path. And usually when the Buddha uses term, the Arya Astangika Marga, it refers to, or the Arya Astanga Marga, the Noble Eightfold Path. The word Arya distinguishes it as being the Noble Eightfold Path. And basically it's the supramundane aspect that is designated by the term Arya. Otherwise, it's just called the Astanga Marga, the Eightfold Path. Now, again, some people might find this difficult to understand. And what qualifies the mundane Eightfold Path and the supramundane Eightfold Path is the attainment of right view. And right view is designated as understanding the Four Noble Truths. But there's an intellectual understanding of the Four Noble Truths. And then there's the actual experiential deep penetration of the Eightfold Path with the attainment of stream entry, or entering the stream. That means a lot of people, when they first study the Dhamma, they read about right view, right understanding, right thought, the Noble Eightfold Path. And it's called the Noble Eightfold Path. But until a person actually attains stream entry, they're practicing what is called the Mundane Eightfold Path, because they don't have that Aryan view. They don't have that direct glimpse of Nibbana yet. So their view is still mundane. So that's important to understand, that it's qualified. The Noble Eightfold Path, when one has right view, that the noble right view pertains to somebody who's attained stream entry or the other three stages of enlightenment. But until a person has attained stream entry, their view is still mundane because they haven't had that supramundane experience. And so this question, is there a change in lineage between mundane and supramundane right view? Yes. It's that moment of entering the stream, one lineage changes from the ordinary person to the beginning of the Aryan stage, or the first stage of enlightenment. So that is called the change of lineage. And we talked about this when we were going over the insight knowledges, that just before attaining enlightenment, one develops, insights by practicing vipassana, and then it reaches something called conformity knowledge and change of lineage. And that means one has had a glimpse of the supramundane path, and that is considered to be standing on the Aryan Eightfold Path, because that's the Buddha's definition of the Aryan or the Noble Eightfold Path, is having had that noble glimpse of the unconditioned. Now, a lot of Buddhist practitioners won't like to hear that, but that's the way the Buddha defined it. The second part of this question is, do both right views lead to Nibbana? The mundane right view won't lead to Nibbana. One has to make that change of lineage, has to have that glimpse of Nibbana, that genuine, deep glimpse of the unconditioned state, and reach that level of entering the stream. And that destroys the first three fetters. The fetter of the personality belief, the doubts considering pertaining to the Dhamma, or that there's such a thing called enlightenment possible. People sometimes have these doubts because they haven't had that true glimpse of liberation, even though it might last for a very brief moment. Nonetheless, it's very powerful, and a person would never forget it. So the mundane right view does not, it leads one to the path. So one has to have the mundane. One practices the mundane right view, the mundane right intention, the mundane right speech, right action, right livelihood, the mundane right mindfulness, and right effort, and the mundane concentration. That's necessary to develop the spiritual qualities, to develop those so that that supramundane experience can happen. So yes, even the mundane right view will lead you eventually to developing all the mundane aspects of the Eightfold Path, until finally you have reached the Noble Eightfold Path with the experience of entering the stream. Prashant, is my picture messed up? I might have been hitting something there.
No, that's okay. That's okay.
It's okay?
lost in chat or something.
Okay, sorry. Okay, that was one question. This person had, there was two, so that's the second part to this question. The mundane right view leads to stream entry, but then once one has entered the stream, one practices, then as one is practicing the supramundane Eightfold Path, and then will attain the second and the third, and then the fourth stage of the full enlightenment. So the mundane Eightfold Path leads to the beginning of the supramundane Eightfold Path. And then that is when the Sotapanna then from there on is practicing the supramundane Eightfold Path, because they have that, they've destroyed doubt and they've destroyed the belief in a self. So that is the qualifier as being entry into the supramundane Eightfold Path. I'm sorry if this sounds a little bit complicated for some of you who don't have, a deeper understanding of the suttas and so on. Okay. In daily activity, does it matter if one knows or does not know which right view they are practicing? Well, if you're not a Sotapanna, then you will be practicing the mundane right view. If you're a Sotapanna and above that, you will be practicing the supramundane right view. That doesn't mean we have perfect vision all the time, or we also don't have perfect mindfulness and so on, but nevertheless, we have that glimpse of nibbana to make that difference between our ordinary view and the clinging to the self and the I is a part of knowing that the self is an illusion, even though you might still act from others seeing you, they might think you're acting with a self or an ego, and you will be to a certain extent, but at least you don't believe it's real because of the force of past habits. You still may do unmindful things and maybe talk or act that might appear to be ego-centered to somebody who doesn't have that experience, because it's still not perfect in the Sotapanna or even in the once returnant. So, but anyway. And is there a specific transition experience or knowing that occurs between these two sorts of right view? So already I've been mentioning that a number of times already. Yes, it's that defining moment of entering the stream and having developed those insight knowledges that we spent many weeks going over a few months ago. And you can go back and refer to those links, the previous video recordings that I gave a few months ago. So, the transition experience is that entering the stream, what is called path knowledge. It's called path knowledge because it's knowledge of the supramundane path. Okay, so those questions were posed by one person. Now, another person has sent another question. And again, while I'm doing this, if anybody has any questions that come to mind based on this discussion, you can write them down in the chat box, and if I have time at the end, we'll try to look at those also. So I need a little bit of water element to feed the water element in the body. Okay, this next question. I have always been fascinated with the following passage and have often heard it mistakenly identified as the true definition of right view. So this question is pertaining again to the right view. And in this sutra also, in this sutra that we're, the Maha-cattarisaka Sutta, he's talking about the mundane right view and the supramundane right view. And so what is the mundane right view? There is what is given, what is offered, what is sacrificed. That means we acknowledge that there is benefits. There are things when you practice dana, for example, you practice generosity by helping others out, by donating to charities and so on. Or you're offering things to the Buddha, and those in the mundane level, those are those kind of things have their benefits. Now there was you have to understand the background where the Buddha was coming from. At the time of the Buddha, there were certain people that didn't believe that there was any merit. There was no benefit in giving dana because there's no result of our actions, and a person is not going to get any benefit from giving to others or making sacrifices and so on, or there's nothing going to happen after death. The person's not going to be rewarded with going to heaven or punished to go into hell after death by their actions. So there were people that had these views. So the Buddha was specifically had, given this teaching as part of the mundane right view. So he's saying that there is what is given, what is offered, what is sacrificed. There is the fruit and result of good or bad actions. Now, this is the law of karma. Now, an arhat doesn't get the results of his karma because his mind has been purified of greed, hatred, and delusion. But anybody who is not an arahant, even the sotapanna, is still caught in the law of karma. But so there is that law of karma exists, and there is the result of the good and bad actions. There's the result in this life itself. And if there will be a next lifetime, the seeds of those karmic actions can be carried over to the next life as well. So the seeds of our karma can produce effects in this life and as well as in the next life if we have not terminated the rounds of rebirth. So there is this world and the next world. So the Buddha defined the three worlds as the world of the sensory world. That means where we are living, we have physical senses, we have vibrations coming through our senses, and we see, have the four elements, and we experience pleasure and pain and so on. So the sensory world where we are reborn. The animals are also in the sensory world. and so are the beings in the Deva lokas, and even in the hells are part of the sensory realm. So these are realms where the mind is reborn. So the Buddha is saying there are these things exist. Now, again, some of these other Brahmins said, no, that's imagination. This is the only place that's real. And, there were so many different beliefs. So the Buddha was trying to address some of these, what he called wrong views. But these are the mundane right view. When one attains enlightenment, then one understands that these things are essentially an illusion. But until we've reached that state of enlightenment, full enlightenment, then these things are, these things still exist. Even though the Buddha was enlightened, he still had to live for 45 years in his body and experiencing the pains and decay of this body. So even for an enlightened person, there's still this sensory world. But there's some of those Brahmana ascetics denied that, or tried to deny that it existed. And there is mother and there is a father, there is relatives, and so on. There are people that attain enlightenment and so on. So these are part of the mundane right view. And that they, with their influxes, partaking of merit and ripening in birth. So as long as there's karma, everybody except for probably the anagami and the arahant, they're going to be born at least a few more times, or once return, of course, one time, but the rest of people are reborn many times over and reaping the results of their merits. So that's called the right view that still has the defilements connected with it. So the question is that this sutra calls this understanding the mundane understanding of right view. Is this because these attainments or knowledges only lead one to live a moral life, and by themselves cannot lead to enlightenment? One uses this world to practice the Dhamma. So by believing in the law of karma and by practicing the precepts, we abstain from the unwholesome actions. So we are using this mundane right view to minimize the suffering that will come to us. So we're using that mundane right view, but in a skillful way, so that by practicing sila and the Eightfold Path, the mundane aspects, at some point, then we will be able to then get on to the supramundane, attain the supramundane right view, and start practicing the supramundane Eightfold Path, which would only have at least 7 more lifetimes of rebirth at the very most for a person. But if one doesn't attain the stream entry, one's mental continuum could go on revolving through the rounds of birth and death indefinitely. So one has to use the mundane Eightfold Path in order to purify the karma and the thoughts by practicing the Noble Eightfold Path, by practicing sila, samadhi, and panya, so that we can gain that supramundane path. And then in the next part of that sutra, this question is saying, that the Buddha says, and what is the right view that is noble, supramundane? It's the wisdom faculty, the faculty of wisdom, the power of wisdom, the awakening factor of Dhamma discernment, the right view as a path factor of one whose mind is noble, possessing the noble path. So he's defining that noble Eightfold Path again as having that experience of, entering the stream, as we've already been mentioning numerous times. And so the last part of this question is, how does this understanding of right view fit in with the 37 factors of enlightenment, which include the 4 foundations of mindfulness, the 4 right efforts, the 5 spiritual faculties, the 5 powers, the 7 factors of enlightenment, and the Noble Eightfold Path? Well, again, the understanding of right view, we're practicing those enlightenment factors to gain the enlightenment. So we're practicing the mundane Eightfold Path to attain the supramundane Eightfold Path. And that's when those spiritual faculties have been developed. So the power of faith, energy, mindfulness, concentration, and wisdom. And the 7 factors of enlightenment. We're practicing the mundane factors of enlightenment in order to gain that enlightenment, and then they become enlightenment factors. So they're not enlightenment factors until we've attained at least the first stage of enlightenment. So we're practicing the mundane awakening factors until we've become awakened, and then we're practicing the actual factors of enlightenment to gain the full enlightenment. So again, there's usually a time lag between entering the stream and attaining full enlightenment. And that could be up to 7 more lifetimes, or it could be many months, it could be many years, it could be at the time of the death, 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or even 6 more lifetimes. And that depends on, each individual's accumulated understanding and so on. So, these are, difficult things to understand for people who, are just beginning the practice, or even people who have been practicing, because these are very deep and profound things. Okay, so that is the questions that have come. I don't see any more chat questions, so actually, I hope there isn't any more, because actually I want to try to define these what is actually the meaning of the Great 40. And it's divided again into the mundane and the supramundane. And that's why it's important to understand the difference between the mundane Eightfold Path and the supramundane Eightfold Path in order to understand where this number of 40 originates. Now, this may even confuse you more if you're not already a little confused. So just have patience, and if you don't understand it right away, don't worry about it too much right now. Okay, so the mundane Eightfold Path. Well, actually, this the Great 40 pertains to. Now, this is if you're not already confused, the Great 40 pertains to the Tenfold Path. I know, making it more complicated. So the Tenfold Path, you all heard of the Eightfold Path. But there's a tenfold path for people who have attained the full enlightenment, or the arahants. And so we know the Eightfold Path ends in right concentration. And then with the right concentration, one attains the supramundane path that's called right knowledge. So the right view, the attainment of stream entry, is called the right knowledge. And all of the wisdom that's accumulated from Sotapanna through once returning, never returning, to the Arhat stage, destroying the remaining fetters, is called the right knowledge and right deliverance. So that's number 9 and 10. So the mundane view, mundane Eightfold Path leads only up to right concentration. To attain right knowledge and right deliverance, that means the 9th and 10th fold path, requires attaining the stage of the stream entry. Then you're attaining the true right knowledge. Before it was mundane knowledge, now you're attaining supramundane knowledge, which is that glimpse of nibbana, the understanding of that transcendence of dualistic perception, and the glimpse, the real glimpse of the Four Noble Truths, the real root of suffering being that clinging to the sense of I and being trapped in dualistic subject-object consciousness. So those 10 factors, including the right knowledge and right deliverance, that's 10. And then that has 4. Again, this is kind of complicated, so don't try to understand it too much right now. But it refers to all of the right, the 10 right views and the benefits that come with those 10 right views. That means the right view, right intent, right thought, right intention, right speech, right action, and right knowledge and right deliverance, all the beneficial effects that come from that. And then the wrong understanding, that means wrong, because there are some people who had wrong view and they had wrong knowledge and wrong deliverance because they thought they were enlightened, but they weren't. Because there was a lot of individuals at the time of the Buddha that had this wrong understanding and the wrong views that I mentioned at the beginning, people that didn't believe that there was karma or any result of actions, but they thought they were enlightenment because they gained these immaterial jhanas without right view. And they thought that they were Brahma. They thought that they had reached the end of rebirth, but the Buddha saw that in reality they hadn't. So that was these people had these wrong view and wrong intention, wrong action, wrong concentration, wrong deliverance, and wrong knowledge and wrong deliverance. So again, I know this is hard, very hard for you to understand. So don't try to understand it too much right now. It's only when you actually gain that path of stream entry and you've had a glimpse of the Four Noble Truths, and it's only then when you will understand these things a little bit more clearly. Okay, so that is basically what the meaning of the Great 40 was. These 10 factors, the Noble Eightfold Path, plus the 2 factors of right knowledge and right deliverance, with just having those qualities and then experiencing the beneficial effects from those qualities. and understanding also the negative aspects of it, understanding the right view and the wrong view, and what is right knowledge and wrong knowledge, right liberation and wrong liberation. So only one who's reached those levels of right deliverance is going to understand what is the wrong deliverance. Okay? Because one might have thought they had right deliverance before attaining stream entry, and then after that they go, oh my God, I've been deluded so long. That's what some of these disciples of the Buddha, like Sariputra and these other teachers of these are Brahmin ascetics, when they heard the Buddha's teaching, they realized, oh my God, I've been deluded. But they didn't want to accept it, and there's some sutras that talk about that, how some of these Brahmin ascetics were, they realized they had wasted so much of their life believing in wrong views, and but they didn't want to, sort of acknowledge that, and they died ignorant, and or some of them eventually became Buddha's disciples and attained enlightenment, and then they really understood the difference. So anyway, actually, there's another important part of the sutta that you would have read if you had read the sutta, but within this Maha-cattarisaka, what called the 3 pillars of the Eightfold Path. Now, Bhante Guna Ratana, that many of you know, in his Dhamma talks, within the Noble Eightfold Path, there's 3 of those steps of the Eightfold Path, whether it's mundane or the supramundane, even the mundane, are the most important. That is the right view, the right effort, and the right mindfulness. So when one has the right view, then one will have the right intention and right speech and all the rest of it. So the right view understands what is right, and it understands what is wrong. That means according to Dhamma. So right view understands killing others is wrong, lying is wrong, stealing is wrong, sexual misconduct is wrong, intoxicating the mind is wrong. And the opposite of those are called the right actions. So right view understands that. So when an intention to tell a lie comes into the mind, the right understanding says that is wrong. And so you make the right effort to replace that wrong, that intention for telling a lie, to instead to tell the truth. And so you mindfully discard that wrong view and cultivate the right view or the wrong speech. So first you have to understand what is right or wrong, because if you don't understand it, you'll continually do things that are sort of in the wrong way, because people don't like to hear these terms right and wrong, but so skillful and unskillful is the way that is a more sanitized version of defining the terms of kusala or akusala, skillful actions, unskillful actions. So you have to know what is skillful. First of all, you have to know what is unskillful in order to let go of it and to transform it into its opposite, which is the skillful. So you have to understand what is right intention and what is wrong intention, what is right speech, what is wrong speech, what is right action, what is wrong action, what is right effort, what is wrong effort, right livelihood, what is wrong livelihood. You have to understand what is right mindfulness and what is wrong mindfulness, and also right concentration as opposed to wrong concentration. So right concentration has to be supported by right view. That means it has to have insight connected with it. So that's also an important part of this sutra, is that the noble right concentration, the Buddha mentioned in the beginning of this sutta, is equipped with right view, right intention, and all of the rest. So it means that one is only practicing right concentration when you've attained stream entry, when you have that right view along with it. And before that, you're practicing only mundane concentration, mundane jhanas. If you attain the first, second, third, and fourth jhana without the right view, then you're practicing mundane jhana. That is not considered to be the noble concentration. So the noble concentration really only will start with the attainment of stream entry, because you need that jhana and the right view, the insights in the 7 factors of enlightenment, building up the 7 factors of enlightenment. The very last one is the 6th one is the concentration, and then the attainment of the stream entry comes after that. But that's because that concentration has developed with the right view. Anyway, again, these things are hard to understand until one has been able to reach these deeper levels over and over again, and you start to understand the differences between them. Okay, there's, I don't know, one chat here, but okay, this one chat is deliverance the total overcoming of the fetters? Yes, in the deepest definition of it, the true deliverance, enlightenment, is the attainment of arahantship. That means the overcoming of all of the 10 fetters and terminating the rounds of rebirth. But the Sotapanna is delivered from at least the 3 fetters. The once returner is delivered from some of the 2 fetters. The once return, never return is delivered from 5 fetters. And again, this is complicated to understand unless you've studied this to some extent. But yes, normally when we say enlightenment, it refers to the attainment of full enlightenment or the arahant state. Okay. So friends, I hope, that wasn't too confusing. And, again, I've been explaining these things based on my own, understanding of it and limited understanding of it. But so now we're going to take a few minutes break and then come back to have our a few stretches and then our meditation practice. Okay. See you back in a few minutes.
Thank you, Bhante.
Bhante, the deliverance is deliverance.
Question.
Also, Hemanta's brother is in clinical
Prashant, put on the screen now.
Yes, Bhante.
On the screen now.
I think you should be able to see it, Bhante. Yeah. Yes, Bhante.
Okay, friends, so we'll do a few stretches. Just stand straight. Relax your arms at the sides. Just begin some deep, slow breathing. After breathing in, hold the air in the lungs 2 or 3 seconds. Then slowly breathe out. Just bringing the mind into the body. Let go of the external sights. Breathing in, standing. Breathing out, standing. We coordinate these movements with a deep, slow breathing, repeating each one 3 times. So with the next in breath, raise the arms over the head, interlock the fingers, stretch the arms up, stretch the head back, arch the spine a bit. On the out breath, turn the palms down, touch the top of the head. Again, in breath, palms up, straighten the arms. Stretch up, bend back. Out breath, touch the head. Third time, hold the upward stretch longer. Release the fingers, out breath, arms back to the side. Relax. Keep the attention focused in on the body. Just feel those 4 elemental vibrations, especially the earth vibration. The clothing touching the skin, the feet pressing the floor. Now, the next in breath, push up on the toes, raising the arms over the head. In this way, stretch up, facing the hands toward each other. Stretch. Out breath, come back down. Arms to the side, heels to the floor. Use the in-breath to help lift up the body, that air element. It's like blowing up a balloon, the air element, bringing it in, the body floats up. Out breath. In. Out. Relax. Keep feeling those increased sensations. And all those sensations that you feel are a combination of those four elemental vibrations. Predominantly the earth vibration, but occasionally I feel the water vibration, saliva in the mouth. Of course, the air element being the breath going in and out and allowing for the movement. You couldn't stretch up without the air element moving through the body, like hydraulic. Or if you start to feel warm, that's the heat element. And next we'll do side bendings. On the in-breath, raise both arms up. Keep the fingers and arms straight close to your head. On the out-breath, bend over the right side. And keep the fingers and arms parallel to each other, like railroad track. In-breath, lift up. Then the other side, out-breath. In-breath. Again to the right, out-breath. In. Out. In. Out. In. Out. In breath. The out breath, lower the arms. Feeling the sensation, especially feel the increased pulsation, hands and fingers. Might feel the warmth in the hands, heat vibration. Feel the clothing touching the skin of the arms, the earth vibration. Feet pressing the floor, the earth vibration. The mundane right view is the feet pressing the floor. The super mundane right view, it's just the earth vibration. Now we'll do the head turning from right to left. In the in-breath, turn the head to the right. Look over the right shoulder. Out breath, turn the head 180 degrees back to the left. Look over the left shoulder. In breath to the right. And the sensation in the neck. Out breath to the left. In breath right. Out breath left. In breath. Stop the head in the center. Feel the whole body. Mundane right view is the solid standing body. Super mundane right view. Just cells, molecules, atoms, condensed energy, vibration. Okay, now friends, we'll finish with that. We'll come back to our seats, get ready for the sitting meditation. Okay, friends, just try to sit straight. Try to align the spine and the back of the head in a straight line. Sitting straight, try to feel the natural inward curve of the lower spine. Balance the head on top of the spinal column, keeping the chin lifted up level with the floor. Gently close the eyes and move the attention down to feel where the buttocks press the seat. Just feel that solid contact, the weight of the body pressing the seat. What you're actually feeling is the earth vibration, the earth element of the seat pressing the earth element of the flesh of the body, producing sensations called the earth vibration. And then just mentally feel the way the knees are bent in the lower legs underneath the body, where they're crossed underneath, where the feet press the floor. Also just the earth vibration, clothing touching the skin, where the legs are crossed, the feet pressing the floor. Just think in terms of the earth vibrations, not my hands or my feet. Just vibrations of the nervous system, cells, molecules, interacting. And feel your hands and fingers touching together where they touch the legs. The hands or fingers touching together is the earth vibration. If you feel any warmth in the hands, it's the heat vibration. Start to imagine this cells vibrating, interacting. That's actually all you're feeling. If you think your hands, that's a perception, that's a thought in your mind. The mundane right view. Super mundane right view is it's just vibration. And feel the weight of the arms hanging from the shoulders. Relax the shoulders. And feel where the clothing touches the skin of the shoulders or arms. And where the clothing touches the skin, the earth vibration. Two earth elements rubbing together, producing friction, which is just basically electromagnetic energy running through the nervous system. Now feel the head balanced on top of the neck. Just feel where the lips touch together. Sensation of the lips touching is just a vibration. The upper lip touching the lower lip. Feel the tongue inside the mouth. The tongue may touch your teeth. Producing the earth vibration. Just feel other sensations on your face, the skin stretched over the face, the nose. If you feel any saliva in the mouth, that's the water element. Now feel the eyes in the socket, and the eyelids stretched over the eyeball. There's many different sensations in the eye. Try to feel the subtle eye movement. And from that point behind the eyes, sort of open up the awareness to feel the head and the rest of the body. It's like opening a wide angle lens. Feel the gradual, vague outline of the sitting body. Feeling the eyes from that point behind the eyes. It's a natural awareness position. You'll be able to feel the outline of the head and the arms, legs and feet underneath. It's called whole body awareness. Within that body, you feel all those different earth vibrations. You take a few deep, slow breaths. You can feel the air element, air vibration. Breathing that air into the lungs, breathing in and out. It's a mixture of the air vibration and the earth vibration. Just deliberately take a few deep, slow breaths to feel that more dynamic air element vibration. Hold the air in the lungs several seconds. Just take several more deep, slow breaths, cultivating this mindfulness. And breathing in, letting go of the past and future. Breathing out, sitting here and now. Breathing in, letting letting go of the past and future. Breathing out, sitting here and now. Breathing in, feeling the whole body. Breathing out, feeling the whole body. Again, we're going to count the breaths from 1 to 10 to try to cultivate a more continuous concentration on the breathing. If you can, try to continue taking some deep, slow breaths to help stay concentrated. So with the next expanding in breath, mentally count to 1. Hold the breath in second. And with the contracting out breath, also count to 1. Feel the last bit of air go out to the lung. The next in breath, 2. Out breath, 2. In breath, 3. Out breath, 3. In 4. Out 4. In 5. Out 5. In 6. Out 6. In 7. Out 7. In 8. Out 8. In 9. out 9, in 10, out 10, and discontinue the counting. Let the breathing return to its uncontrolled, shorter, irregular rhythm. But continue to feel it. Feel that air element going in and out of the lung. You might feel it going through the nostrils into the lung. On the in-breath and on the out-breath, out of the lungs through the nostrils, going back out. It's that movement of expanding and contracting, the air or movement element. It's the air that causes the movement. There's both the earth element of the lungs and ribs expanding and contracting with the air element. Just to contemplate that. Just try to cultivate that understanding what you're feeling are just vibrations, earth vibration, air vibration. If you're feeling saliva or liquid element, liquid vibration, the heat vibration. Feel the warmth in the hand. If you feel cold, it's the temperature vibration. That's cultivating the right view. Just feel that continual chain. There are other sensations in the body also coming and going. In and through the breathing awareness, you can feel other sensations on the body, prickling sensations, aches or pain, maybe some body movement. Just try to think in terms of just vibrations, different vibrations. Even aches or pains are just different vibrations. or the feeling, pleasant or painful feelings are just also vibration. Mental vibration. Start to feel like you're a scientist sitting in the laboratory looking down to the microscope. This body is the laboratory of the meditator. A microscope is concentrated awareness. Seeing the impermanence of each in-breath and out-breath. The in-breath starts, lasts a second or two, stop. The out-breath begins, lasts a second or two, stop. Sounds that you're hearing also arise and vanish. And the thoughts in your mind are always changing. Just keep turning up the power of the mental microscope to notice more and subtler vibration coming and going. The mind is thinking about these vibrations or calling it this or that. That is the perception, mental activity. Stimulated by the physical vibration. Breathing in, sitting. Breathing out, sitting. Vibrations, sensations come and go. Pleasure or pain come and go. Sounds come and go. Perceptions, thoughts, emotions come and go. Thoughts of I, me, or mine come and go. These are all just the five aggregates coming and going in the flow of impermanence. In this present moment awareness. That is the right view. Even the thought of yourself, I, me, or mine, is just a bubble of thought coming and going through the consciousness, through the present moment awareness. It's also part of right view. Stay awake, alert. Staying tuned in to the flow of impermanence. Physical vibration, sound vibration, mental vibration. Their nature of constant change and impermanence. It's going on by itself, the force of past accumulated karma. Without any ultimate owner or controller. That intellectual understanding is the mundane right view. But when one finally has a glimpse of that true transcendence, emptiness, then one will have the supramundane right view. Iti piso bhagava arahang samma sambuddho vidyacharana sampano sugato lokavidu anuttaro purisa dhamma sarati satta deva manusanang buddho bhagavati. Such indeed is the Buddha, worthy, perfectly enlightened, endowed with true knowledge and conduct, well gone, knower of the worlds, supreme trainer of persons to be tamed, teacher of gods and humans, enlightened and exalted. The clearer of the path, bringing the right to view to the world. Now to finish the meditation, for those who like, can join in chanting the word sadhu 3 times slowly. We do the chanting on a long out breath, try to feel those vibrations in the body and mind. Take a deep breath. Now place your hands at the edge of your knees and take one more deep breath. As you breathe in, stretch your head back, pull the hands against the knees to arch your spine. And lift the head up on an in-breath. And on an out-breath, press the chin to the top of the chest to stretch the neck vertebrae. Lift the chin up level on an in-breath. Relax on the out-breath. Put a smile on your face. Okay, friends, so this brings our evening Dhamma discussion and meditation to an end. And I think most of you know that this will be the last week for about 3 weeks that we'll be having this Wednesday evening questions and answers and Sutra review session. I'll be going to California on February 8th, returning on March 1st. And so on March 2nd, if there's barring any unforeseen reasons, hopefully we'll have the class again on March 2nd, but because I won't really know what I'm going to be doing, where I'm going to be on Wednesday evenings, I'm not going to try to do it while I'm gone. But I would encourage you to, just on your own review, go to our website where we have all these pre-recorded, talks given over the last couple of years, and review them before the program on March 2nd. I'll send out an email with the next sort of sutra for review. At least I can do that much probably while I'm awake. So anyway, until then, mindfulness today keeps dukkha away. And Namo Buddhaya.
Namo Buddhaya.
Namo Buddhaya.
Namo Buddhaya.
Everyone,
It's
Sarana.
been
Have a safe trip, Bhante.
Thank you.
Have a safe trip.
Thank you, Bhante. Be well, Bhante.
Be well.
Thank
Have a
you.
nice trip.
Be safe.
Everyone, Sarana, may the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha bless you.
Everyone, Sarana.
Everyone,
Bless you too,
Sarana.
Bhante. Bless you too.
Thank you,
Bye.
Bhante.
Going to miss you.
Everyone in California will welcome you with open arms, and you will feel their love energy.
Probably so.
Yeah.
Hope we don't get Omicron though, right? Better wear a mask. Feel their love and energy, but not the Omicron. or
Okay.
whatever they call it. Okay, friends.
I'll keep thinking and concentrating that you will be safe, that everyone there will be safe.
Yes, whatever it is, it'll be.
Thank you, Bhante. We'll see you on March 2nd.
Okay.
Thank you.